Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. What if I told you there's an upcoming gacha game where you can craft top tier weapons, use the final boss before even beating her up, and fight your enemies with scythes, Denmakus, Pokemon, and flamethrowers? Well, welcome to Duet Night Abyss. Duet Night Abyss isn't a random feature dump disguised as a game. It's a fresh take on the genre, breaking from the usual gacha formula with its own spin and a lot of free-to-play friendly decisions. The devs gave me closed beta access and sponsored this video, but honestly, the real reward was me being able to experience this game early to give you all a comprehensive review of the game so far. So if you like what you see, you can support them and my channel by pre-registering for the game down below, but as always, my goal is to present what the game has to offer. Let's start with the story. Call in the serial police because I'm a serial skip button murderer. The moment I see a skip button, I smash it like it owes me lunch money. But with Duet Night Abyss, I didn't. And no, they didn't ask me to sit through the story. I voluntarily sat through it because I needed to know when the MC could afford shoes. But seriously, despite having a skip button, thank you devs, I didn't want to skip any of the main storyline. Duet Night Abyss isn't your usual light-hearted gacha story, and it hits hard with mature themes and witty dialogue. Firstly, I want to express how great of a job the primarily British dub is.
For example, with larger beasts and filthoids, they're fast, but clumsy. So you can stand in front of something solid like a wall or a tree and provoke it to charge at you. Then it's just a life hack. You wouldn't call using an umbrella in the rain underhanded, would you?
Maybe it just sounds particularly underhanded coming from you.
All right. Enough with the petty bickering. Those random critters weren't much of a challenge for you anyway. Now let's find you a worthy opponent.
The game wastes no time showing you how dark this world is. In one of the first scenes, a human soldier coldly executes a Charon boy for defending his father, a brutal moment that sets the tone for the cruelty and discrimination the Charons face throughout the story. Charons are these horny people that are born with, well, horns, and a unique spine. They often awaken their powers as they enter adulthood to gain some usually minor abilities or even major abilities like the characters we use in combat. Also, unfortunately, sometimes their awakening can go wrong, and well, that's why humans treat them like second-class citizens. Unlike most gacha games, Duet Night Abyss isn't shy about killing off characters that you might grow attached to. You also meet this cranky old man, Henrik, who quickly became one of my personal favorite characters who, honestly, I felt like I could relate to. Although I'm not nearly as cranky or as good looking, but had something similar happen to me, I could see myself becoming like this man. This story is not shy for adding nuance and depth to his characters, and I was immediately engrossed in his mysterious nature. Despite his cold, rude exterior, he decided to provide a random homeless girl without shoes a place to stay. Seriously, would you let this very suspicious person stay in your house after smack talking you? Probably not. The story is actually a dual protagonist storyline that sets the stage for some serious conflict. You experience the same story but from opposite sides. First, as a penniless homeless girl who is nearly murdered, lost everything, almost drowned, and then lost everything again, or the other protagonist, this random pompous bloke who is part of the 13th Legion, which is hunting down said poor shoeless homeless girl. It's a rare twist that makes both perspectives hit even harder, and I have faith in the devs to neatly tie both of the stories into something comprehensive and enjoyable. Plus, your dialogue choices actually matter to a certain extent. Each decision builds social stats like morality, wisdom, or chaos. Yes, if you're a cheeky little shit like me, you are actually rewarded in these dice minigames which provide you various rewards, side quests, as well as a lot of additional lore. Overall, Duet Night Abyss delivers a unique narrative that's as brutal as it is charming, blending dark themes, especially for a gacha game, and some of the best story and British localization I've seen in this industry. It certainly sets itself apart from its peers with a much darker story and was one of the highlights of my experience with it in the closed beta. While I have been playing with the EN dub, it will also be fully dubbed in Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Now let's talk about the combat. Duet Night Abyss is fast-paced with high monster density and felt like a fresh approach to the tried and true action combat formula. You control a single character, switching between melee and ranged attacks, with ranged attacks consuming ammo which you can replenish by picking up various ammo drops from smoldering filthoid corpses. Finally, I find myself human torpedoing everywhere because that appears to be the fastest way to move, or helix leap as it's called. Yeah, it looks a little silly torpedoing yourself around town, but I guess it keeps you engaged. Individual characters can, as far as I can tell, use any weapon and any gun, although each character appears to specialize in a specific weapon type. What actually makes the characters unique though is that each of them have a skill, an ultimate, and 2 passives. Instead of the skills and ultimates having the usual cooldowns and energy system, they all consume your sanity points, which you can regenerate by beating up enemies, and yeah. So yes, this means that if sanity allows, you're able to use your abilities multiple times. It's an interesting and unique system that's a great sanity check for the industry. Also, you still make use of multiple characters because you can summon up to 2 AI companions from your own roster to participate in the battle. This is certain to create many interesting combinations, which will be fun to see how the community inevitably breaks the game with broken character combinations. As for the characters themselves, these are some of my personal favorites. We have Psyche, a vulnerable butterfly girl with a crippling illness. She can fly freely while blasting filthoids with her Denmaku-style attacks. Then we have Sybil, the token Dami Mommy and the antagonist who kidnapped your only family member and turned you into the homeless and shoeless wretch that you are. She wields a thunder whip and whips this giant ball, which continuously explodes, dealing massive AoE damage. Then we have the token random bloke, Randy, who literally just sips tea. Yes, that's literally his ability. He sips tea while he sits in a chair and blocks everything with a giant shield. Next we have one of the most unique characters, Truffle and Filbert, a pig girl who yeets tornado pigs at her enemies, a series of words I never expected to utter in my lifetime. And then she rides a colossal pig to trample everything in sight. Finally, we have Margie, aka Hu Tao at home, a fellow homeless girl who digs through dumpsters for a living, all while frantically swinging her shovel to somehow obliterate massive godlike filthoids. The combat system in Duet Night Abyss is unpredictable, fast-paced, and absolutely unhinged, and that's exactly why I loved it. Let's talk weapons, gear, and customization, because Duet Night Abyss does not hold back on options. First, you can craft any weapon in the game through this mustachioed Lunosmith. Even featured 5-star banner weapons seem to be craftable, which they confirmed during their livestream. How difficult will it be to actually farm these resources to craft them? Honestly, I'm not sure, but these materials do appear to be obtainable just by playing various game modes. So this is looking to be a huge W for free-to-play players. But as usual, I remain cautiously optimistic, and we'll have to wait and see until the game is actually released to really assess the system. Still, this is pretty much unheard of in modern gacha games. For your gear, instead of the traditional gear, you collect demon wedges, which are obtained from commissions and dungeons. Each demon wedge also has a cost to equip, and each character can thus only equip a certain number of these and of various quality. The buffs range from things that increase your damage like attack speed, crit, attack, and also mobility and utility like human torpedo speed, an additional dodge, and less friction? Not sure what that one does, but it sounds a lot smoother. And the best part about these demon wedges, hold on tight because this might just blow you away, no random stats or substats. This is likely a great free-to-play friendly system that allows for a ton of combinations and different builds. For example, you can specialize on the human torpedo build, which I actually used a lot for mobility purposes. As you torpedo around, plunging, attacking everything to kill stuff on the way to your objective. Alternatively, you can focus on more damage or even airtime to gun your enemies down from the sky, which is not something I was expecting before playing this game. On top of that, there's even demon wedge loadouts. Yeah, something that some other gacha games still don't have to this day. As for the weapons, we've got melee weapons galore. Choose from swords, claymores, polearms, and katanas. Each one has unique combos like the polearm that you can yeet into a polearm blender, leaving a persistent AoE on the field while your character does other stuff. Then we have a full armory of ranged weapons, assault rifles, shotguns, bows, grenade launchers galore. My personal favorite though is the flamethrower to compensate for my FPS issues with its peak spray and pray gameplay. And yep, why not, we've got Pokemon too. You can summon these little critters to fight alongside you. For example, Lumi, a tiny flying demon cow fairy, zaps enemies with Lumino damage and buffs your Lumino damage. Needless to say, between the melee and ranged weapons, demon wedges, character kits, Pokemon, your 2 deployable teammates, 6 different elements, and different damage types like Slash, Smash, and Spike, the combinations are practically endless, and the potential for intricate combos and min-maxing is through the roof. That combined with aiming actually being a good skill to have with ranged weapons means that there's even room for skill expression as well. Finally, you can even customize your characters and weapons. For your weapons, you can choose from various different colors, and for your characters, you can equip trinkets like glasses, an infallible disguise via this mustache, and even this cute slime thing. In short, Duet Night Abyss is shaping up to have something for everyone. Hulk smash with melee weapons, Fortnite gods with peak aim and ranged weapons, spreadsheet warriors with theory crafting, and Infinity Nike for those virtual fashionistas. Let's talk about the game modes, because Duet Night Abyss offers plenty of ways to test your skills and creativity beyond the main story. Being a gacha game, there is a stamina system, which you can spend in commissions. Commissions is where you farm, well, pretty much everything like gold, EXP, demon wedges, ascension materials, and are akin to what most gacha players know as domains. But Duet Night Abyss definitely changes the formula here. These took much longer than I expected, and were large areas with actual objectives, such as protecting a mission objective or not dying to poison. You'll also find some random events like Luno Loot Goblins, where you beat up a little girl and steal her stuff. Kind of messed up, but that's what they get for carrying a bunch of valuable stuff. But yeah, these are quite different from what most of us are used to and are an interesting spin on the stamina system. And a new feature that was introduced recently is co-op. So if you have friends, unlike me, then you can team up with up to 2 other players. Commissions are sure to be a blast and full of mayhem as you and your buddies deploy a full arsenal of death and destruction to those filthy freaky filthoids. And you'll even have access to various cheeky emotes. Then there's the tried and true roguelike mode, Maze of Missteps, where you'll pick up various buffs and likely end up with some insane build by the end of it. Then we have weekly bosses where, no joke, at least in this build of the game, you can challenge 50 times. Okay, I appreciate how they wanted to give us a lot of content, but yeah, this is a lot. In these weekly bosses, you can obtain some endgame crafting materials for 5-star weapons and other resources as well. So yeah, Duet Night Abyss already offers many interesting gameplay modes, and I'm sure there will be even more to do once the game actually rolls around. Now, being the free-to-play game that it is, Duet Night Abyss does have a gacha system, and it's a system that has improved on the usual formula. Characters come in either 4-star or 5-star rarities, as well as weapons. There are a few banners, with the first banner being a beginner's banner, where within 50 discounted pulls you'll obtain a standard 5-star character. Then the permanent standard banner has a 90 pull hard pity split between characters and weapons. As for the featured character banner, it actually has 2 tabs. This first tab, Destined Chrono, guarantees you the character in 90 pulls. Yes, you heard that right, no losing any 50/50s for at least 1 copy of the character, which is a very free-to-play friendly decision, and for those players that want to focus on collecting more characters. However, once you pull the featured character, it turns into the event character chrono, which has the standard 50/50 system that many of you are familiar with, where you have a 50% chance to get the featured character or a standard character, and if you lose the 50/50, the next 5-star character will be the featured character. So if you want dupes of the character, this is when you'll have to spend more pulls and deal with the usual 50/50 system. Speaking of getting dupes, characters have 6 introns or constellations to max out their power levels. So 6 dupes or 7 total pulls of a character if you want to max them out. Generally speaking, this is highly unnecessary in most gacha games for players to comfortably complete the game, and I don't expect Duet Night Abyss to be any different in that regard. As for weapons, the weapon banner has an 80 pull guarantee for the featured weapon. Honestly, compared to many other gacha games, this is pretty generous. Although given that we can craft these weapons, I'm not entirely sure about the value here, but we'll have to see how the crafting system is implemented to really make that call. In the end, Duet Night Abyss has a promising gacha system, although I will say that through playing the main story, I didn't end up with many pulls, so here's to hoping they're a bit more generous with the full release and we'll be able to get a decent amount of characters. Overall, Duet Night Abyss is shaping up to be a very promising game, and with how much it has improved from the technical test to now, I'm expecting the game to continue improving both on its polish and more. The devs are also very attuned to community feedback, so be sure to let them know what you think about what you've seen in the comments below, as they will be reading them and taking in your feedback. Smash that link down below to pre-register at the official Duet Night Abyss website. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Want to Lose, signing out.